Cast, the uncensored show for nerds of all kinds.
I feel like Arcadia is one of my favorite albums by them completely.
It's so hard for it not to be, man. Yeah.
There's too much. I think with what we might get into tonight, being like relatable, number one. Mm-hmm. Number two, I think it's just the sound. It has nothing to do with it being the larger production or anything. I think it's more so just the sense of the actual sound of like the music and everything behind it. Mm-hmm. Sleep Token tends to have a similar sound throughout their entire discography, which is great. But they also have enough of a left and right hook combo on almost every song that you don't know, well, are we going to get rap and blues, or are we going to get heavy and rock and blues or rap or whatever? Like there's all these different styles, right? So that being said, this one and Eden, I think, are my two favorite albums. Mm-hmm. So that being said, look into Windward to start the album. That's actually how we started. That's how it started the concert, and it was, if I recall, it was almost the entire time, or the entire time, it was basically just the sheet, and it was just like a projection of kind of like Arcadia, if you will, and like the logo.
Yeah.
This falls into one of those songs where there's a lot of repeating, right? Mm-hmm. But again, with seeing them in person and stuff, and we've talked about this with like 21 Pilots and NF and stuff, where it's like, I feel like some of these songs are also made for that quote, we're going to be easy here, but worship.
That live,
that
like
live,
perspective. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's why a big reason that for me, Sleep Token has a grasp on me is because they kind of know that they make great album music, but they also know they're making this for you to come see them. Yeah. It's almost kind of like that Kiss mentality, where I feel like they did a lot of stuff for like to be at the show to see. So Sleep Token's kind of the same way, in my opinion. Yeah. Even though they're not flying across stages and biting, the heads off bats and stuff like that, all these crazy things that 80s hair bands and rock bands did.
Yeah.
But look into Windward. I think there's a lot in this song that catch me. And like, I don't mean to bounce around, but the whole, will you halt this eclipse in me, right?
That's the main, I would say that's the cornerstone of the entire song.
Yeah. Yeah. And I almost was kind of confused at first, and maybe I still kind of am, of like what that is supposed to actually fucking mean, because an eclipse isn't necessarily a bad thing.
True.
Yeah. But you can't look at it. Mm-hmm. You're not supposed to look at the fucking sun to begin with.
Yeah.
So again, like, and even not to be funny, where it's like, well, okay, is this a negative thing that you halt this eclipse in me, or are you asking to halt my true feelings and like real love or something like that? Like, is the eclipse a bad thing or a good thing you have?
I think the thing that has always helped me, more specifically when we were deep into sundowning, because I think it was more so of like truly taking that moment of understanding we just went through two EPs that said a lot.
Right. And they were EPs.
Right. And it's that thing of like, okay, so contextually, let's think about where we are. And that's really what I've had to use with even in Arcadia, because I don't know how everybody else's listening habits have been since this album has dropped, but I used to be a daily Eden person. I would even argue that I would say that there was like some daily sundowning, depending. It was very rare. But there was for sure daily tomb, and it's like the fact, like taking that stuff in. So with Arcadia, dude, like it's really made me forget about the rest of their music, just because I've been so soaked up into this fucking phenomenal album.
I get it, man.
And it wasn't until I think I was at the warehouse doing something the other day that I have my Bluetooth speaker that I use and stuff for it. And dude, I threw on the Apparition, and dude, I got emotional because I was like, dude, I'm like, this is what holy shit, I remember. Dude. But all that being said is that the context of where for a fact where we know that we are and where we've been is that I think that the two things that are very important with this album is Tomb and Eden. And the reason why is because later on in the song, just to skip ahead to give context, is that we have, now I know why I woke up here on the shoreline, coughing up blood in the twilight.
Coughing up blood, yeah.
Coughing up blood, and there's we talked about even the idea of, not only by the end of Tomb is he have missing limbs, he can't even swim anymore, but now he's defenseless and he's in a chokehold. So it's like, these different ways that these albums start. Look to Windward is interesting because he's escaped the ocean. He's no longer in peril. He's not sinking anymore. He's not on the cusp of the surface, just trying to kick and trying to get out of it. Something somehow has taken Vessel and removed him from this ocean of narcissism, this ocean of despair, this ocean of, just consistent problems and the cycle and how this can, it always happens over and over again, is that especially the first couple of lyrics of this is that, will you listen just as my form starts to fission?
Yeah.
Changing, it's like everything from how he loves his scientific stuff with alkaline and everything, where it's like, no man, fission, the fusing of particles, the creation of something new. So will you listen just as my form starts to fission, losing this war of attrition just as I drift away? Attrition, this is something we talked about before the podcast, but I wanted to get the definition correctly, is that attrition is the act of wearing someone down through action, through words, through physicality. And isn't it interesting that just as he's about to lose the war of attrition, he drifts away. And the only thing he can think is, will you halt this eclipse in me? It's this weird moment of the fact that it's like, I'm falling away from the thing that I know that hurts me. What am I used to? Creating darkness. I'm used to, or being around it. So it's like, no, but it's that I personally think the eclipse is a negative thing because of that.
Sure.
Again, there's many, many ways to interpret this. And guys, just because we interpret something tonight does not mean that's our final resting place.
Or that it really is that.
This is Vessel we're talking about here. Anything can happen, but it's interesting. That's what he's meditating on, is that it's, especially as he talks about being on the shoreline,
Do you think that's a parallel universe though for something else? Because the reason, I didn't mean to cut you off. That actually is part of what I wanted to talk about with some of this, where it's that, halt the eclipse in me, kind of like you said, like out of this ocean of like narcissism and things like this. But the fact that he follows up with the fact of, I've got eyelids heavy enough to break diamonds.
It's such a hard line, dude.
It is. And we know that we talked about like the diamonds of teeth and all this stuff, and it's pretty and all this stuff, but diamonds can only cut diamonds, and the fact of that. So the fact of it's heavier than that. And I don't know, the more I was listening to this because of some of the lines afterwards and the rest of this album, I think that almost means, like, again, kind of falling into that depression and death where I'm so tired of this.
He is exhausted.
You pray for sound and I pray for silence. Everybody get away from me. I want to be dead. Silence. Done. Everything's over.
I want to rest. Yeah.
So you'll find me, the fact of being faithless and that you can't deny, you'll find me with half a mind to get violent.
Yeah, I'm ready to fight now over this. Yeah,
because almost the fact of, because I'm so exhausted. When you're tired and you're irritable and you're this and that, when no matter if it's just because you've stayed up too late or if you've been working all night or whatever it is, or fighting or whatever it might be. This is where I wasn't sure with in my own opinion, what the eclipse was, if it was supposed to be a negative or a positive, because if you're either halting the negative or halting the good, either way, it's not a good thing. It's just, I'm still trying to figure that out. We talked before this started, guys, we didn't talk too much about it, but I think this album personally is another cycle of this type of like lust, love, and we're good and death.
Yeah.
It is. it's because of certain songs that go into each other as well. On how this. That's another thing is I'm wondering if Vessel knew that that Windward was the first song, that Infinite Baths was the last song, that this was it purposefully done that way? Probably. But even at that, if it's not, how ironic of a way for his albums and things to go. I think that also with this and other albums, when we get into more of the rap, hip hop and things like that, or even just other styles, it is the feeling of how it's like inside of you or whatever. Like you said, music is what emotion sounds like.
Yeah.
So it's like when he is in that kind of, I've got eyelids heavy, he's kind of in that like hip hop groove, but it's because he's kind of cocky.
There is a confidence, especially because when he says the half of mine to get violent, and this is where we see the depth of his violence and his, and I wouldn't necessarily say rage, but I would say that it's how we get to see how serious he is.
Do you know? And I don't
taking action and being violent. So, but yeah,
with that, and I don't mean this because I'm just gonna say it, but like how like when a dork, a nerd, and anything like whatever is like, and when they think they're being hard and coming at you, like whatever, like it's almost kind of it's kind of that concept, I guess, because you're right, like because Vessel is not please, if you see this, understand what I mean, but he's not a gangster. He's not a gang member. He doesn't run the streets. So
but he can channel it.
And that is his way to be, I guess, mean, or I don't mean isn't the right word, but aggressive. Because it's almost like he doesn't know how to be fuck you type deal all the time.
Well, it's especially because I would actually even argue that,
hope that made sense.
Well, no, it does, because I think that there's, does he not have that, gangster mentality? Sure. I agree. But I would also say that, no, man, he is just like he is justified. Especially when he says, so give me the edge of a blade and a time and a place, and I'll leave them cold and pushing up boulders.
See, this
dude.
Yeah.
Bro, like that's like, I was mad when we reacted to it and I didn't get what that meant, because I thought it was just another, like a more harder way to say pushing up daisies or like whatever. But no, dude, that's hell.
It is. And that's what I also don't know with that either, with the whole, where is it? When he says that with the fact of the edge of a blade, this is where I don't try to force everything in it, but this is where I also wonder if that has any symbolism to do with death. With the fact, tell me the time and the place, basically with that edge of a blade. Is that against somebody else, or is this for himself?
Oh no, I argue it's very much for others. Because it's because that he says I'll leave them cold and pushing, because it's the fact
I'll leave
of, like,
them right.
It's now, because the thing with that too is that, guys, like, if you're not familiar with Greek mythology, it's the fact of that, no, there is a version of hell that you push up a boulder for all of eternity and you never make it up the hill. That's what Vessel says he wants to do to them.
But would that be also like, in the fact of like him unaliving himself and them being alive and never understanding?
No, I personally don't take it that way, because this song is very much like this gets into the mentality of the fact that I am ready to fucking tussle.
Oh yeah,
it's got like one. That's just one of the elements of it. But in the same hand is that there's. Especially the edge of a blade too. I look at that as more so the idea of putting down the roses, picking up the sword.
Sure.
It's the fact that it's like, no, like now you have made me defensive. This narcissist that has done this to him. And guys, we're probably going to gloss over a lot of different theories and stuff that we've gone over. We've done many episodes before this that we've dove into their lore. So if it feels like we're going a little too fast, or if it feels like we're skipping over,
we've already done it. Probably.
We have more than covered that, that kind of thing. So we don't want to spend the whole time just giving context, like just
right.
so you know. But no, it's like very much how he's ready to defend himself and to properly, like, you know, because he even says it later on in Dangerous when he's like, when's the last time that you tasted blood?
Okay,
you
so
know, like,
yeah,
so
but see,
it's that
this
type of
is
thing,
this
know,
is
so.
where I agree with you on this. That's what I'm saying. I was confused a little bit still by this song on like which way to take certain things. But see, again, to me, I think even in Arcadia and Dangerous, I don't think Dangerous is about a woman.
I have many thoughts.
So that's
on
why
Dangerous
I
of
think,
what I think it could be. Yeah.
Because you, like you just said, where it was like, when's the last time you tasted blood? Like, I feel like because later on when we talk that I think the gods are the symbolism of death. Because when he talks about, we thought the gods were dying, they were just sharpening their blades. I think that to me, that's a very blatant verbiage. But
yeah.
But again, like that's why I said Windward was definitely one that I don't want to say completely confused me, but it was something that I wasn't sure, like I said, which way to take a lot of this stuff, because it's not that it's vague, but very to the point. And I don't know how to explain it, but like
yeah, well, no, it's the tough thing about it is that it's for Vessel himself, he is able to write out exactly what he knows it means for himself, you know. And and I think that's what's brilliant, is because it's almost kind of like he has this and I'm careful on how I say this, but he has almost like this Naughty Dog approach to writing, of the fact that Naughty Dog is very good at writing dialogue that gives you no context, because it's not written lazily like, hey, remember that one time at the lab, you know, or whatever, where it's like they didn't do that in Back to the Future. Naughty Dog doesn't have to do it either. You know what I mean? Like, they don't even talk about it in Back to the Future of context, but it's the fact that he gives you exactly what he gives you. You know, it's that, you know, mentality of like, okay, well, there was a fight last night. All right, well, what happened? Well, no, well, what do you think? You know, it's like, that's like the Naughty Dog approach. It's that thing of like, no, like, how do you interpret this? There was a fight. You know there was a fight, but you don't know why Joel and Tess are fighting. Sure. But you just know it's the following day. So it's just, he has that kind of approach, and especially when we get to the end of this, is that there's so much lore and things that are being said here, of that he says, you know, even in this Garden of Gardens, I am the god of the gaps. I am the demon of Sodom. I am the blood of an angel. Blood is very important for what happens later on. The fate of the fallen. Nobody knows where I came from. Even I have forgotten.
See, again,
that to me is probably one of the scarier parts of this song and of the album. He's forgotten who he is.
See, so
he's lost himself.
That's what I'm saying, is that I still think that when you lose yourself and you talk like this and you think like this, that again, there is a lot of this dark depression, death, I am worth nothing vibe that you get. And with him going through naming all of those things, where it's like these
are the only things I know about myself.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then when it's one of those, when you think something so long, you start to believe it. Or you get told something so long, you start to believe it. So
those very well could have been things that were said to him. It's like because it's like almost like a poetic way that entities would diss on each other. You know, that's like, you know, you're the god of the gaps. You're the god of nothing.
Yeah,
you know, it's like,
right.
Yeah.
But the fact of even in the Garden of Gardens, so again, and then when you talk about Arcadia, but even in Arcadia, it's like, I keep trying to figure out, I probably never will, but like what the symbolism fully is of the gods: sleep, garden, Eden, and Arcadia. Like there is, these are very specific things that are constantly talked about.
You know, honestly, what I think we need to do in the future is that one of us or both of us, whatever, we need to get our hands on the graphic novel.
I'm trying.
Somebody did email it to us, but I can't, in good faith, look through it for free. Like, it's, you know, it's like, so it's one of those like, no, I want to support him.
And I don't mean like this. If somebody sent us the book,
as long as
it's a hard copy,
as long as the artists and everybody were taken care of,
but that's exactly, man, because that might actually help. I don't know if that would help with something, but this is where when I started listening to more of Arcadia and it being, I think, one of my favorite albums by them, is it's not to be a woe is me guys or whatever, but like it's because I think I get that feeling and why I am harnessing certain things kind of specifically because I had this like, moment with stuff. Now, whether I'm right.
Yeah.
But I wasn't even looking for these things or this euphemism or this whatever like things for it. Like it just happened.
Yeah.
And then when I went, okay, well, let me think of it this way, and things were coming together. Like I said, it's a lot of death, and like we've talked about these processes of these albums and like where he, I guess, maybe is.
I think that the thing to remember, and this is where because I don't want to jump too far ahead, but the way that I view this is that I actually, in my opinion, again, because I'm following just the lore, I'm following, everything. I'm just like, all right, no, like guide me as a compass, like take me through the world. I think that Arcadia as a whole is more positive than it is negative. And I have reasons why, like it's like specifically through
Positive
different songs.
in a great way or positive just in the, we're back in love and lust again?
No, I think that it's we're gonna get there.
Because do you ever think
just because I would have to fast forward to some songs.
Well,
I don't want to
get
get
you.
too out of order, but yeah.
Do you think Vessel, even though we've heard the whatever like uppity songs, right? Because I'd say 85% of the music is not uppity, not positive. But even at that, with the ones that are on there, do you think Vessel is ever happy?
I think he is. I think that,
and I don't mean a happy. I'm saying happy in general.
I would argue that I think that he is, because when you see the connection he has with his bandmates, when you see how much he.
Oh, sorry. I meant like in the lore. I'm sorry.
Oh, in the lore.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Okay, gotcha. No, yeah. So no, in the lore, yeah, I think that there are moments. I think that
moments. Okay.
So but the thing is too is that it's like I would say that it's that Arcadia is a very honest album. It's the fact that there are very very like uplifting moments where you're like, wow, like this is so like different than what we like. Arcadia has a vibe to it that none of their other albums do. And some people could say that it's like maybe softer in some ways, emotionally, or it's this or that. Like even Caramel has like that almost music box kind of beginning. So does even an Arcadia. It's kind of dainty kind of sounding.
Dainty
kind of things,
doesn't still mean it's not hard lyrics.
Right. So to me, it's one of those that I think that there's a flavor that Arcadia has. But I think that the best way to approach like that kind of idea of like, is it more positive? Is it this? Is it that? Is that to essentially just to finish up Windward, because it's I think Emergence is where we're going to start seeing this gray area where I think it could be either or, because there's some wordings and things. But the one thing I actually did want to talk about was that with the second part of Look to Windward, the top where it says, with shadows longer than a light year, moving so slow I could die here.
Yeah.
Say that, and this is interesting, is that let's leave the person unknown at the moment. Say you can hear me say, will you halt this eclipse in me? I think that he's at this point, he's learned not to trust sleep. I look at it that he sees it where it's like, for the most part, he has it under control of the fact of like, bitch, get away. Like, it's like he has a lot of like moments like that on this album. For me, I would think that with the desperation of which he is singing, which is so different because even it's done in video game style with that Zelda, like almost kind of it's a very different
album.
way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nerddom in this that I was very, very happy showed up. But I think that in the first portion of the song is that we have someone that is unknown who I would assign to, and you're going to see this a lot, is that I would say it's Eden. I think
Sure.
I think Eden is obviously being in the Garden of Eden, Garden of Gardens, even Arcadia. There's a lot of symbolisms and things that tie together or that could overlap. But no, it's with this one. I very much would think that it is towards Eden, because it's the mentality of just like, no, like I'm not being caught in a snare again like I am in every first song. You know what I mean? Where it's like this is a very different approach where he's just like, no, like I'm not even in my cycle anymore. Where the hell am I?
Well, because it is new.
Yeah, it's the thing is it's a new cycle.
Right.
So it's and that's the genius of Arcadia. So, but with Emergence, unless if you have anything else you want to say about Windward, if you're good. So Emergence is basically kind of almost like, we'll dive deep into some lyrics here, but as a whole, I look at this as that this is towards sleep and him just being like, come on. It's we're starting over again. You know it's your time. So come on. Just I can't get rid of you. It's like that type of thing.
Because I think I maybe am seeing the similarity with maybe Eden and sleep. Now, I maybe they just like go hand in hand. I don't know, because like if Eden is his safe space in a sense, well then you're gonna sleep better. But now again, like that kind of just came to me it like as a kind of a dumb thing. But the reason I think that this is kind of like maybe they go hand in hand, because you're right, is that it could be towards sleep, but also towards an Eden with the fact of living on a promised word. I think that's love.
See, well, it's even later on when he says, what was it? Let's see here. Yeah, it's the consistent thing that he says, that you might be the one to take away the pain and let my mind go quiet, and nothing else is quite the same as how I feel when I'm at your side. So it's like, I think that there's credence to both, because it's the idea that if it's sleep, it's the buddy, don't do this again. You know, but if it's Eden, it's the yes, chase this, you're okay. So, but actually, now that I'm thinking about it, no, I think this probably is Eden, because past life is right after this. When he says I'm not up in a frenzy, or like so he talks about I'm up in a frenzy, but not like when I was empty.
Yeah, and see, that's what I mean. Like this is where like how all of the like the songs go into each other. Like this is where he had to have known. How does he write, dude? Because if even let's just say he doesn't go, these are all the songs right now, right? Because he hasn't written them. Anyways.
Hasn't wrote them.
Yeah.
Hasn't written them.
Yeah. But
he writes things.
He still has to have that, like his stuff in order, because to be able to put the look into Windward, the Emergence, the caramels, the all this in an album, it's making sense, even if you listen to them kind of out of order. Like you don't have to listen to them directly as the album goes, because I don't listen to them like that.
No, I think how did we say it before? That it was like maybe that the albums themselves are not chronological, but they all take place in the same vicinity of each other.
That's what it was. Yeah. I said something about like maybe it's not the fact of it was all good, bad. It was all good at once and then all bad at once. We're like, maybe we're getting it in just some kind of order. Yeah, that is true. I'm more times than not, I still think of it as a chronological thing, especially Arcadia, because of how things go down. And especially with Emergence, is that this is where, like, in my opinion, this is where we get some of the best lines on the album. I mean, Look to Windward has some killer ass lines about the afterlife and different things, but dude, this one is just like, especially when he gets into the to the idea of, are you carbide in my nano, red glass on my light bulb, dark light on my culture, dark signs, dark light on my culture, sapphire on my white gold.
That's, dude, like if you really think about sapphire and how it looks on white gold, it is pretty, dude.
Yeah.
It looks incredible. And especially like with his like armor and stuff that he has, like with the greens and the with the sapphire and the gold. I mean, it's
wasn't it emerald? Isn't it green the emerald?
Emerald, yeah. But this is where like we really start to see that I see that he is describing, again, like whether it is sleep or if it's Eden. I think I'm going to actually tip my toe more towards Eden now that we've been talking more. But it's just that there's really interesting descriptions in here, especially carbide. Carbide, when you think of drill bits of like how tough they are, that they can go through, through metal. Again, like his love of chemistry and the elements. He says, so yeah, are you carbide in my nano, which nano, like being a small nano machine, robot, that it's like, no, man, you're the carbide and the thing that's within me. You're the toughness. You're the thing that gives me my confidence. Like but again, red glass on my light bulb.
That's what I'm saying, man.
You're dark though. It's just like, God, like what is it?
But see, red glass almost makes me think of like red light district, like sexy, sexual, like things where it's like you said, dark. But like dark doesn't always mean bad.
Sure. Yeah.
It's just
it's like when sexy time turns a little kinky, or whatever.
Right,
yeah, right.
Yeah. Or like even think about like follow me here, but like strip club, how they're like it's dark lit and stuff like that. Like dark does not always mean a negative per se, but I think in dark signs it is. But
yeah,
I think that I go back and forth with this one as well on like how I take it, because the go ahead and wrap your arms around me again, man. I'm sorry to say, but like I take this as more of a maybe negative thing on the what do you say? So where was it? I forget where it was, where I was going with that, but it just in the fact of like he's embracing the fact of going to be wrapped around this, but like it's almost like he does know how to fight it.
It's almost kind of like you could wrap your arms around me, it means nothing.
Yeah. Or in the fact of you do welcome it because it's like you know how to get out of it if it gets bad. I don't know. Because I've been in scenarios like that myself where you're like, this is gonna hurt.
This is okay now.
This is gonna hurt.
Yeah.
I know. Like you almost know in the moment. You're like, do you remember that episode of The Big Bang? Sorry, ADD.
No, you're fine. Go for it.
Do you remember the episode of The Big Bang Theory where Leonard and Penny are standing out in their hallway, and Sheldon gets the Spock, and he says, "Penny, do you want to go out? Would you like to go out to dinner?" And she's like, "Blah blah blah." And he's like, "No, just me and you." And you see the entire date, and it was like kind of a mess at the end, and like all this stuff and whatever, and it flashes to the actual present, and he's still staying there because he was thinking it the whole time. And even though it kind of ended bad, he still went, "Penny, do you want to go out on a date?"
Yeah.
He saw it all happen and knew exactly what the fuck was going to happen, and he still did it. And then she had the thing of like, and she still did it too.
Yeah.
But it's like, I take that part like that. When I heard that for the first time, I was very on the fence of like how to take this emotionally, because I was very confused. And that kind of happens a lot the first time around listening to a Sleep Token song, because you're almost doing the same thing. Like you're bracing for some kind of thing. Especially with names of songs.
Especially, dude, it's like, I mean, how could we not brace ourselves for the worst with not only our life experiences, but also with what we know that he's been through. Yeah. And how everything has happened. Like, and this is the thing that's tough about this, is that when he says in the very beginning here, when I'm not sure, I'm not going to paint a picture here like I understand what all of this means, because it's very poetic writing in the very first portions of this song, of that, well, you were laid in verse, which is almost in verse or inverse. I don't know. It's that,
I know.
That tough thing. But living on a promised word, like you were saying, promised love, a promised word that, you would be here. I am the rose you relinquished again. I'm the one that you let go of.
Roses are beautiful. And think about the fact of there's even that thing too where putting down the roses, picking up the sword.
Yeah,
there's even still some of this that kind of lends and or bleeds itself in some of these other songs. It's not exactly what he said.
Yeah.
But it's very similar. And I dig when an artist does that as well.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah. Okay.
But so when he says, you and I are down head first in another world, I heard. And this is why at first I was thinking to myself that this is sleep, is because he says, I have a feeling we're close to the end. So come on, out from underneath who you were. Come on now. You know it's time to emerge. There's, I think, two ways you can take this, is that if it's sleep, it's because he knows the cycle is coming to an end and he's like, come on.
So
show up like you do every time.
This is what it was. This is what it was, where I was talking about maybe about death and even like suicide and the wrap your arms around me, because that was right. The fact of like even it's time to emerge and come on, where it's like it's time to go back to this or whatever, because I had it in my mind. But the reason I was still thinking that is the fact of there's the one line in here that now it can be taken, in my opinion, in two ways though. One could be yep, I'm going to brace for this and then we're going to fight and do whatever, or I'm going to end, because the whole fact of the Godspeed to my enemies. And then when he comes down here where he says, canines to the savior, glory to the legion, trauma for the neighbors.
See, that's, yeah.
Does trauma mean you can hear us screaming and fighting, or that I killed myself, or the ambulance? Because if a neighbor, because, okay, let's think about something. 9 times out of 10, what happens? A neighbor is the one that finds you if you live in like an apartment or an apartment complex.
Dude, I'm going to be honest. I'm not tracking with the suicide thing at all. But
okay.
I think that when you look at, again, the video for Fall For Me, very much that is about self-harm and very much about suicide. But I think it's like an over-grander thing. I think that it's deeper in the fact that it's almost kind of like, if I had to really kind of like because reveal the curtain of what I think Arcadia is that I think Arcadia is that, no, dude, he drowned not in heaven, but he is in Arcadia. So that's like he's already dead. It's not that he's wanting to commit suicide or different things, unless if that's not what you're saying, or
no. So it was just the fact of like, no, that actually makes sense. I can see what you're saying there. It's just that like I said, when I listen to certain things of this. And even when and it's not because I'm trying to pick certain words out to make it go, or like where you're like, oh, you made the connection because you took certain things. But
yeah,
it's the fact of you're right with all that. But then if you're talking about trauma for the neighbors, so there's some form of like something happening, right? What's the part of, so tell me what you meant by living past your half-life.
See, yeah, this is where, yeah.
This is where, that's what I'm saying, that he's now literally talking about like a life and death and like, how are you still here? But again, you're right. Like his verbiage, his things like that can lend itself. It's just vague enough to where it could still be a relationship status.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a self-harm or unalived or anything like that.
Well, especially if it is all, nothing but symbolism. It's that thing where it's like, no, like I think it's fun to think of it, which I mean, it's kind of fucked up to think, but it's like, thinking of this as a big epic of that there are monsters and there are entities and there are like, it's like, it's almost like when you play Metal Gear Solid, where it's like, no, this is all symbolism for Hideo Kojima's dad. Like it's like, but it's Snake. It's like, no, he was a clone from somebody. That's the only way he's connected to him. He has no relationship. So it's like, that's kind of how I view the
Okay.
universe of Sleep Token in a way, is that it's like, no, it's like, especially seeing the visualizers and the armies and the creatures and the different things, like Arcadia is not exactly a safe place to be. That's very evident, with different things, but no, I very much view this, that it's like, no, man, it's the Inception thing. It's the fact that he's dead. He's in this afterlife. He's experiencing what this is, which makes it really fucked up when you think of even in Arcadia, is that even in Arcadia, you walk beside me still.
See, that's what I think. I think Arcadia, that's like I said, that's a symbolism for death.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where it's the fact of that even when I'm happy.
Yeah. Do you view Arcadia as a state of mind or being? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think that it's just, I think Arcadia is a place in a state of mind, but he's the song, even though it's called even Arcadia, there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
It's the fact of he's talking about where he is, but what's still happening.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, like, I don't know. I really take this album. That's why I said, I'm sorry. I take a lot of this almost like a kind of like a Romeo and Juliet type deal, where this is a lot of love, lust, and suicide and death.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's kind of almost evenly balanced, with the exception of kind of like Caramel, because that's more of the person behind.
Well, this is where we have an interesting thought about this, is that it's people were saying to us when we were reacting, was that they said that, no, man, the lore is done. We moved on. First off, I think that's bullshit. I think that the lore is far from done. The lore has changed.
Yeah.
Things have evolved, which again, this is what makes Vessel great at what he does, is that it's the fact that he is amazing at telling stories. And if you pay attention, like, he is kind of almost like the Amnesia of music, where you really have to dig. You know what I mean? Where it's because the joke of Amnesia is that, no, if you want to know the story, you have to read every damn note, to be able to know what's happening. There's no exposition given, but that's the thing, is that it's like, no, like we can read everything,
Yeah.
it's all there.
Because when we do go from, again, going from song to song and emergence to then past self.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where it's almost like that reflection of, who the fuck was I? Why am I like this? Why do I do this? Like, I get it, man. Past self is one that I love. I don't listen to a lot, and I think it might be because it is on a different level.
Sure.
Because it has this, 21 Pilots you. It's got this very poppy, dainty sound to it.
People give this song shit.
I don't know why, because it's got a super heavy lyrical bass to it, man.
Yeah.
Where this is, I think this is where I really appreciated Vessel's love for music in general, because of the way it sounded. And again, he gave us this one had kind of it wasn't rap, but like it wasn't singing either. We say that a lot with a couple of the bands we listen to or artists, but I think it really just showed me, because Sleep Token can get the melodics and all this stuff, but you're right, like, this had that, like, not a video game and not a music box, but it was like this weird blend together for past self. And I don't know if that was
yeah, dude, yeah.
And if it's like, because of that past self, like when you were younger, these are maybe the sounds he like had like in it mixed together.
I love that. Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It could be something as dumb as Zelda was his favorite game and his mom had a music box, and these were the two sounds he heard all the time when he drank milk and watched fucking Tom and Jerry.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like,
yeah.
But it's the fact of it struck me so odd and weird in a good way. And it's odd that it isn't one that I listen to a lot, but it is one I really enjoy for past self. Like, I just remember kind of being in awe when it just started, and I'm like, what the fuck are we listening to?
Well, I think that, lore and like deep dive aside for a second, I think that this is where people were probably, because when you listen to Look to Windward and then Emergence, is that there's this, epicness that happens where you're like, oh, dude, what's next? Come on.
Yeah.
And then now
we're down here.
We're going to take our time. Let's just, how about you just sit back and let me tell you something. It's got that kind of vibe,
I never thought about this too. And I mean, how he kind of dances all quirky on stage?
Yeah.
This almost, now that I think about it, kind of lends itself to be that almost like what's inside of him when he's on stage doing his vessel dances.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. That's the kind of sound that it has, because even for them, it's different.
Yeah.
It's like, I think I've said this before, and please don't take this the wrong way, but it's almost like they are the new Linkin Park, because Linkin Park had these sounds, plural, that nobody did. But you're like, God damn it, that's good.
It tickles your brain in such a way.
Yeah.
Which, and again, it's the fact people were bitching that they're like, oh man, this is such a pathetic metal album and whatever. It's like, first off, they've never been metal. They never claimed to be metal. If you've listened to the first 2 EPs, fucking Hobbit, who was on the show, and one of my really good friends, he looked at me and he said, dude, he's like, I never once thought they were metal. He's like, my other friend Kyle showed me Sleep Token when they first dropped, Thread the Needle. He's like, they got heavy, but they weren't. He's like, but they're not thrash metal. They're not metalcore.
Heavy.
Yeah.
Exactly. They get heavy.
Yeah.
They aren't heavy.
This is why people, when they bitch about Past Self, where it's like oh my god, no, it's like, this is so inconsistent with the sound. It's like, first off, it's the most consistent sound on the entire thing besides even in Arcadia, so don't fuck with me. Secondly, it's also the fact that it's like, dude, did you listen to Granite? Did you listen to Are You Really Okay? Did you really listen to all these others? My god, you fucking Levitate. And you're going to tell me that you thought they were a gent band? Get fucked, dude. My God, do some research. So anyway, but
read a fucking book.
Read the Bible. No, but
anyways, yeah.
So, but regardless, is that it's so with the song itself is that we have in Dangerous, he says, talks about, will you show me how to dance forever? But he's not really talking about that at this point. He's like, no, are you going to dance on the line with me? It's like, it's not a game. It's not a fantasy. It's like, this isn't something to fuck with you. This isn't a dream anymore. This is real. This is here. And
but then he goes in the fact of, and I don't even know who I used to be. So I don't know is he talking to somebody else, or is this again still all to himself? Because with the dancing on, are you gonna? Is he talking? He's got to be, because this is Past Self.
See, that's okay. That makes sense. Yeah, he is. But
I see again. When you first hear, that's what I'm saying. I'm always almost completely confused on every time I listen through on a Sleep Token song.
Well, I think that number one, I think that's what makes it like the Rubik's Cube every single time. It's fun. It keeps it fresh. But if let's go. Actually, let's view it this way: is that let's say that this is very much like "Do You Wish That You Love Me." It's like,
I think maybe that's what it is almost.
Dude, if that's the case, and I would relate to this even more because, dude, I've had specific moments, especially with Crystal and I, dude. It's that thing of that I have to consistently remind myself that I'm okay.
Exactly,
dude.
I don't even know who I used to be.
Yeah,
lost sight of. You've been in this cycle, this depression, this lust, this somebody that only wants to be with you when they're drunk, when you are their secret person that they talk to, when you're the one that beams for light and tells people about them. You were a different person before this shit ever came into your life. So that whole, are you going to dance on the line with me? I almost take that as the whole wrap your arms around me. It's almost like, all right, what do you want to do? Do you want to dance? This isn't a game and this isn't a fantasy. What are you going to do? Because I'm not the same as who I used to be. Are you going to keep going down this line and make yourself so unrecognizable in the future that you will never know who you used to be?
Yeah.
This song, again, big feels, crazy sound effects, like the music behind it. Like it's not,
it doesn't track.
It doesn't track.
It's I would argue. I think that there are certain moments, like especially the frenzy line. I feel like is the thing that I think that resonates really well. But
certain lines.
This is the thing is that this song is number one. I think that this was probably Vessel's attempt of the fact where he was like, "No, man," he's like, "We're gonna have a radio song. This is something that can be played on 106.9. This is something that can be, So it's like, but the thing is that this thing is so. There's so much texture to this. It's especially the keep me alive, keep me believing that now is the time to take it or leave it. Gave away all my blessings, lift off weightless, and I'm torn apart by the true believers that turned out to be faithless. I would argue, I think that's a little stem to Caramel.
I was just going to say all his offerings.
Yeah.
He's given everything, and then it goes into the one look at my past self, double take on my cash flow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I think that this song has both, but it is still talking about yourself. Mm-hmm. You're right with the fact of what's even the fact of people acting different. The one look at my past self, and then the cash flow. But you're right, like having that moment of guys, we are on the radio, or we are big, with things like that. Mm-hmm. It's you still kind of. When he got all that, you look back and go, oh, that's the reason why. It's almost kind of like NF with stuff where it's like, fear and all this stuff. Well, we got an album to drop, so we got to get this present here. We don't necessarily have to keep it present, but it's the fact of my past self is the reason why I am here now too.
Yeah.
I think that this song maybe has a little bit of a double meaning with that, where it is the negative, it is the kind of that, but it also is a little bit of a positive because he knows the negative got him to the positive.
Well, it's especially the way that he even says this when he says, not this is real. He says, if this is real, then I am all but a frenzy, but not like before when I was empty.
Yeah.
This is, and also he says, and if this is love, then I am out of hesitation, head over heels at elevation, walking an inch above the pavement, taking it stride by stride together. It's not him saying for sure, I'm in love and I'm set. It's him saying he's like, one, like, especially knowing where he's been, he shouldn't be open to that at all. But he's at least having the thought of thinking, you know what, if this is real, then yeah. If this is what love feels like, if this is what I'm supposed to have, if this is what it's not supposed to hurt me, it's not supposed to control me, it's not supposed to degrade me. He's like, then yeah, like I'm up in a frenzy, but it's not like when I was empty. It's not like, but this is not like before, and I think that there could be some people that would look at this and go, well, right, but that's what everyone in a fresh relationship says. We're like, because he even says it on Distraction, where he's like, I swear she's not like any other, but it's like clearly she was, so it's like, how do we take these lyrics? Do we take it in the fact of him saying that, no, man, this would be good and is good because this is a different feeling than what it was before. I acknowledge what I was, because again, reflecting past self, like this song, there is so much to chew on. And it's interesting that the most poppy song has some of the deepest thoughts of where Vessel is at. You know what I mean? It's just so interesting.
You're right. Like this is where I think that's why I like Arcadia so much, is that while other albums weren't terrible, they were terrible. It's just the fact of, I think where we are in the state and the lore of this album is where I like the pocket, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, I don't know if you're the same way, where you're like, yeah, this is fire, but it's because it's the newest thing from that artist.
Yeah.
And then when you go back to 1993's version of, Bone Thugs and Harmony, like, this was the shit.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, the new Bone Thugs is the shit too, because it's got that new sound. It's that everybody hopefully evolves a little bit. Mm-hmm. But when you go back to Thuggish Ruggish Bone, there's nothing that it's one of those things. But for me, that's not what is happening here. yeah, it is the fresh newest thing, but I think it's just because there is that vibe and lane of certain things and where we are with him and the lore and things like that is where I'm really kind of catching this because it was tough. I had to really think. But it's the fact of I'm realizing every song we go into, like there's no skips for me.
Yeah.
I don't want to say skips, but I have some things on like Eden and stuff like that to where it's like, that's not really the vibe I'm in. It's not really the lane I'm trying to be in when I'm listening to Sleep Token because I have my favorite 67, or what his song. That's a joke, but so no, it's just that you're right. Like this one being so poppy and so almost like it should be like a Billie Eilish, sound coming out instead. Like it lends itself to be like that. That wasn't a slight, guys. But no, this is, I still am again confused though on how I take this past self because again, I go back to this. It's almost like a Romeo and Juliet thing on this album where it is, to me, it is very much so that like love, lust, death, love, lust, death. Like it kind of goes in that like cycle, like you were talking about, but it's a new one.
Yeah.
So when you said that really made sense. Where it's like, yeah, we keep going through cycles, but fuck, this is a whole new cycle now, almost.
Yeah.
And it's like you almost like again, wrap your arms around me. I'm sitting here with this album going, all right, let's go. I'm just gonna jump in fucking balls deep, cold water first, get it over with. Like I'm bracing myself, especially when we get to something like Past Self, and it's like we still got 6-7 songs left to go through.
Well, I think that this one especially with how we end, and I think this is important going into Dangerous, is that he only thing that he can say over and over again is, I just don't want to be lost again. I just don't want to have to find my fucking way again. I don't want to have to start over. I don't want to have to do this, that. Like you can fill that blank with everything that hurts. You know what I mean? And it's like, isn't it interesting that Dangerous, which is, in my opinion, the same kind of vibe of being very sexy and promiscuous and everything.
Right.
Provider is definitely pure sex. But
right.
Dangerous is the thing that, again, you talked about that this may not be exactly what people would think. Where are you taking this?
This is death. This is 100% death.
You think that okay.
You're okay, you're right, because this is sexy though, right? This has some sexiness vibes to it. It's luring. Luring. Like that, I'm trying to say, like, I wish I could have known that the look in your eyes would echo in mine and go back across the line. When was the last time I felt like this? Dark desires and tainted bliss. When's the last time I felt this dark and down? Sorry, I'm getting. Yeah. Anyways, it's like you're dangerous to me. I notice every time we meet, I feel the ground beneath my feet giving way. Dude, you're letting go. You're letting go. Like that's, and I don't mean like when you're dead, but I almost kind of think that what's like that when you're feeling yourself levitate, it's not because you're in love. It's almost like I've bled out a bunch. I'm now slipping into an actual parallel universe.
You and I are going to be very divisive on this song because
I'm sure
it's now again. I think that there's good reasons lyrically to make some connections with that.
You've got me talking in my sleep, and you're conquering my dreams. He's dreaming about death.
See, I would look at this that again. It's to me. I don't think it's that deep. I think this is sleep.
Okay.
And the reason why is that it's because he's finally acknowledging that she's bad for him.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like that,
sure.
Or like it's because it's always like whenever we've seen sleep show up on previous records. Again, even then, again, guys, like it's like there's so much interpretation of who perspective of who, what's this, what's that. The only song I would say I for a fact know the person that's talking is "Are You Really Okay," which is his mom. And some people have talked about his mother being involved in more lore and different things and stuff that kind of have built him or whatever. But the thing is, again, so with you approaching it as far as death, it's I will view it as sleep, but again, I still want to know how you're connecting lyrics and stuff, and like how it how it's in your mind and how this clicks for you for the rest of the song, though. You know what I mean?
Well, okay, let's just even skip to the end. Won't you show me how to dance forever?
Mm-hmm.
Forever's forever, not alive, not forever. Show me how to dance. You're showing me how to dance in the Garden of Eden, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and even in Arcadia is going to have your garden, in my opinion. It's because everything, all the good stuff, that death is still there. So with the fact of how it's something being so dangerous to you and how you, because it is still about her.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. Like it's almost kind of like I guess sleep is still kind of involved with this. It's just the fact of you've got me talking in my sleep. I'm dreaming about this. I'm doing all this. But then even with the fact of fast forwarding to the end with won't you show me how to dance forever?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that like, it's like you're dangerous to me. I notice every time we meet. And like, it's just like every time we meet. So if it was her or sleep that's dangerous for him, it would be in every single time that would throw a red flag for him. It doesn't.
Yeah, it's so I'm trying to.
It is because
again, I'm not saying that you're wrong.
No, I know,
but
but
it's more so just like in my mindset of like how I'm putting it together.
Because
you know what I mean?
with the words he used every time we meet.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's one of those other two things, he would every single time already know.
I just take that as in the fact that he just knows sleep and knows for a fact how it is every time that she comes around. You know what I mean? Like it's like again it's
okay.
This is why I love Sleep Token, because it's the fact that it's like people can have such a different interpretation of these songs that it's like, no, dude, I fully believe that changes your just your everything about you and how you take in music, because it gives you a completely different experience. You know what I mean?
Well, even the rap part. I thought I could resist you,
which is the best part of the entire song. Is
sure.
that funky rap, yeah, or funky beat. I mean, yeah. So,
but something in me just couldn't help. But something in me basically couldn't help it.
Yeah,
okay,
but insist to blur the lines one last time.
When's the last time you tasted blood or stemmed the flood? Remember, and we've talked about this. We think the flood is something that he did himself.
I think that there's with the flood is that with blood.
That's where I also got that as well. Where this is where that's what I'm thinking. This is why it's dangerous for him, and this isn't necessarily the person. This is not an entity, but like thoughts and things like that. It's dangerous.
I think that the flood and especially the bloodline, because this is the thing that we're going to see throughout the rest of the album. Well, specifically in Infinite Bass and things, is that blood is something that's brought up a lot. But I think that it's like there is the idea of self-harm, but I think that's also that there's the blood is what makes him human. So I think that it's the idea like blood of man, like that type of thing, where it's like how he's referring to himself. But I think that in just like with this song, and like regardless, is that let's say that whether it is death or it is sleep, is that Vessel is making the conscious effort of knowing that this thing that is trying to get to him, he's like, nah, man, back, maybe back. No, you know what? Stick around. I know you're dangerous, but stay. Where it's like I'll blur the lines a little bit. I'll dip my toe, or I'll have a little taste of the sugar again, or whatever, like that type of thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because it's kind of like it's kind of sexy. It's not sexual in this one like Provider necessarily is. It gives that like vibe to it, and that's why I also was thinking that it's like a trick. It's like a trick.
Yeah.
So, but no, you're absolutely right. I still go back and forth with these things too, because first time around I was like, oh, it's it's her.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Like you're talking about. That's why like I understand what you're saying.
I think that's the thing is some people could look at it and go, well, no, like you have to have one or the other. You have to pick, like make a choice,
No.
cupcake. But it's like, to me, it's like, no, I look at it that it's like, regardless, like we're following the vibe of this where it's like, no, man, dangerous. Like when, especially when the resist you line kicks in, like, dude, like this is actually one of the things that makes me like have a complicated relationship with this song because I love that part. I'm not a big fan of the musical choice that Vessel did with Dangerous to me, like when the big guitars and stuff come in.
Okay.
Like it's too elongated for me. I feel like but when we get into like the Show Me How to Dance Forever, that hits the Sleep Token vibe that I really like of like what they do.
I agree.
This is not my favorite song off of the album. You know what I mean?
Really?
It's not. Yeah.
Oh man, this
Yeah.
one, it's gonna surprise you. Take a guess of what my least favorite song is on this album. It's pretty much only one.
Gethsemane.
No. I mean like that. No. That like I kind of not.
Oh,
that
that you don't enjoy.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Probably Caramel.
No,
Really?
Infinite Baths.
Really?
Yeah, it's kind of like what you were just talking about. It doesn't strike me as good through most of the song.
Okay.
Enjoy the song a lot. It is not one that I actually really actively listen to a whole lot.
I would argue that Infinite Baths is not so much of a song as much of it is like an experience.
Correct.
Like it's like,
and I
I
think that's not the problem, but I think that's the reason. Seeing it live was incredible.
I bet. Yeah.
But
yeah.
it's just that where I get what you mean, but like that's my Dangerous, I guess, than all that. That's wild. So Dangerous is the one for you.
Look, man, people can throw shade, whatever, but it's like, no, I skip Dangerous a lot.
What?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm kind of like, no, dude, get me to fucking Caramel.
Oh.
Like, that's yeah. So, but it's
Oh.
I think it's because of the
Let me
fact.
ask you a question. How the fuck are we brothers? I was kidding.
We asked that question a lot.
lot.
With the creative aspects.
Do you know
of
what? Do you know where I
art.
got that from? 8 Mile.
Oh,
Yeah. When they're out there, he's like, I'm gonna call you mama. Anyway, sorry.
I still say my I don't know why I went gangster there. I still say I still say that one of my favorite parts of 8 Mile is when they're like, yeah, fuck Tupac. Anyway, but so Dangerous again. This is just the idea of that the addiction has come back. The negativity is here. I think that it's a very interesting choice that Caramel is next. And I think
agree.
it's
Okay. See, again, when
Yeah.
you take into your mind, again, tasting the sugar and stuff too, like it almost kind of puts
Oh,
that.
see, I didn't even mean that, but yeah.
But right. But
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I do understand your side and how you're talking about it now, because that's how I initially took it.
Sure. Yeah.
I've listened to this song 1,000 times.
You got much more seat time with this than I do. Yeah.
There was one day I was driving home, I'm not kidding, and it just, I started to cry. And I couldn't, and it was kind of like how Gethsemane and even an Arcadia was, where it was like, or like Doubt even, where it was like, I couldn't figure it out. And then it just hit me, and I'm like, because if that is what he said, I don't know, it hit me in such a different way compared to the like relationship side of it.
Yeah.
And that's like you just said earlier, where it's like, that's what I love about Vessel and people like Sleep Token that write this way. It's such a broad style of like taking something in, because me having it hit me that way hit you a different way, because maybe you took it as a relationship, or maybe that's how it is, but it hit you in the same way, but for a different reason.
I think it's
That's music, man.
well, I think that like more so, I think my interpretation just kind of comes down to like, this is going to sound like I'm being shitty, but I promise you I'm not. But it's like when you see people that like try to like, connect dots of like, the Bible, or they try like, well, no, but like really like this means this. It's like, how about we read the book and you see how things go with each chapter?
And
like,
that's what I'm trying to not do, man,
right,
with some of this, like it's all death and all, but like, that's just how I'm taking a lot of this.
Well, I think it's more so it's the idea that it's like what I try to do to ground myself is that it's like, again, I think that the more and more I'm thinking about it is that if self-harm is the thing that he realizes is dangerous for him, then it's kind of that it's like, nah, man, like you can like, I'm going to be very blunt, guys. Sorry, YouTube, if you don't like this, but it's like, God, you can even cut yourself in heaven in Vessel's, universe and things where it's like, no, like depression is, he can't get away from it.
That's
so it's
exactly.
Like, but then again, it's also the fact too that it's like, if sleep is still there, then it's that fact of like, fuck, he can't get away from this narcissism, even in death. Mm-hmm. It's like they're both catastrophic in their own ways.
He's doomed no matter what. It's almost like which is the lesser of two evils for him.
Well, this is the thing is that when we come to Caramel, now guys, we are going to gloss over Caramel. We did an entire episode on Caramel.
I didn't even think we were going to actually talk about it.
But I think that more so, I think what I'm interested in with this just quickly is that it's the context of where we're at, is that his vice came back. No matter what his vice is, his vice came back. And what happens? Sin is only fun for a season. And then now,
I like that.
It's actually, I can't remember what Bible verse it is, but it says, "Remember that sin is only fun for a season, or it only carries its joy for a season."
Oh, that's a biblical.
That's a biblical thing. Yeah.
Wow.
Just like how like if you hear like, no man, nothing in private will ever be in private forever. It'll be put out to the open. That's a Bible verse.
Okay.
Like that's Word of God stuff, But like
that I did not know.
Yeah. But this. Isn't it interesting that in the context of just the album, which we'll just look at it for songs, that Caramel is after he gives in?
Yeah.
And he's just, dude, he's fed up. This has nothing to do with sleep. This has nothing to do with the Lord. This is to the fans of that. He has finally had enough that he has had to put away the facade for a second. And I think what we talked about in that episode was like, dude, like, why did we do this to him? Like, fuck me, dude. Like, come on.
And the fact that he had to take time out of his I'm sorry, but like his job of what he was doing for us to address something, to basically have the dad moment of sit down.
Yeah.
We need to talk.
Yeah.
You're not grounded. You're not going to get spanked. I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
Very disappointed in you. Now,
you hurt me a lot.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to go to my room. So.
Yeah.
But it is. And that's where when this happened, and I even said something, but it was kind of funny, but the truth was like, go apologize right now.
Yeah.
Right fucking now.
Yeah.
Because you're right. We hurt this person.
Mm-hmm.
The actual person, and he's already had enough bullshit to begin with. And now he's getting it from us.
See, this is
man.
We addressed this on the podcast or that episode too, but it's like, guys, like we have fought tooth and nail to not be like those people. We have like, it's that fact where it's like, no, like in private with friends, we will discuss Vessel's identity. We will. It's because the either people that already know it because Google is a thing, which if you are one of the few people in the world that have been brave enough and strong enough to not know, God bless you that you have. Because
it's getting hard. Like it's just like blatantly out there now. Like it's almost like
See,
like on purpose against him.
Actually, I saw Chris, our buddy Chris and Jason. We call them the twins because they are twins. But I realized that people needed context for that. But I've always just known them as the twins my whole life. But no, Chris, now mind you, he was not being shitty. But he had posted in the Roadies page, he was like, I just openly heard someone on a podcast or like on a radio show say his full name and said that he's the lead singer of this, and this. And at first I was like, Chris, dude, fucking quit, like in my mind.
Yeah.
But he kind of responded to some comments. He's like, no, I was just shocked. He's like, I know this is a big fucking no-no.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's the thing is that I think the name thing it is very much like the apex of Caramel, but it's also, in my opinion, I think that it's the human side of him just coming out and just being, as we said, like, dude, like he's like being the most Christ-like person in music and just turning the other cheek and just letting it go. You know, he had to acknowledge it. He had to get it off his chest, but it was kind of that Gordon Ramsay thing where it's like, you know what, you talked about it, but I'm like, let's move on. You know, it's
I
like
almost
you feel
thought
lighter,
that there
you know?
was also too this thing where, and not that he gave up, but he almost had this moment of, and just like put his shoulders down and like almost just like turned and walked off stage in a sense, but like in a song.
Yeah.
And it was almost one of those, like, I could almost say where it's like everybody's just quiet and it's like, what's he gonna do? And then he comes out with, you know, with the next song. So it's like it's that, you know, but that's the thing too, is that this is what I'm talking about, is how Arcadia is next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we go from Dangerous to Caramel to the real person to even in Arcadia.
No, but that's where we're like, no, like we're back in D&D now. It's like we're back in the world.
We
you know,
are,
like
but what
type
I'm
of thing,
saying
yeah.
is that this song is a real hard one for me, because that's what I'm saying. This for sure is for me a death thing, because now it starts off. This song is so beautiful. It's like almost haunting to a point, and it's so beautiful. Like Vessel has different octaves and different tones and different things that he does, and the breathiness and all of this stuff, right?
Yeah.
This boy just belted out the first line of this, and I was done.
Yeah.
I was done.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that it still stays in this pocket of a sound, but it does get bigger. But it is odd to me when I was thinking about the order of it, that, like we said, we went from Caramel, the real person, to this, to where it's the fact of him being, even when he's happy. I always said if there was like a video that he would make, that it would almost be like him walking through this beautiful thing, but you see death still always in the back, walking with the scythe, almost like that typical look, because we know how he would probably be. It would be very to the point. And when he says, "Have you been waiting long for me?" he says it differently throughout the way it goes. But I swear I have this vision of like this skeleton hand just on his shoulder, just almost kind of like the Deathly Hallows, where it's like, I greeted death as an old friend.
See, that thought came to my mind when you were talking about the death thing, because it's like, let's play with the death mentality. Is that so? Because it's the idea of that him saying, "Come now, swing wide open those swing wide those gates, because I have paid my penance kindly, well in time for Judgment Day." Now, if we're looking at this through the death idea, is that he is basically, yes, he's embracing the afterlife of that. I earned this. I'm here. You know, that type of thing. It's like, I've been through heaps of shit. I've been through this. Now, we could also look at it that it's like, just as, you know, the afterlife, you know, not necessarily that the idea of that death is following him, but if he is on his own, at least for right now, is that regardless, he made it. He made it out of the crushing idea of that sundowning. Every single time the sun went down, his life was a mess because of sleep. Then we have him completely contractually obligated, emotionally, everything with Tomb. Then him basically drowning and not having any limbs left to go back. All he can think is, take me back to Eden, take me back to the garden, take me back. Even in Arcadia, I've paid my penance kindly.
Right.
I have done everything I need to be able to be here.
Because I think he's exhausted.
Yeah, he's tired.
Because somehow I knew my fate.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out, this is what I said. I went back and re-listened, and things made sense. This is what I think. The gods are the symbol of death. Turns out the gods we thought were dying were just sharpening their blades. So again, if anybody knows anything about Vessel, we're pretty sure that he was a self-harmer in ways.
Yeah.
Now I know that
whether it was also the car crash,
sure,
which Provider does a lot to talk about that. So which we'll get to that, but yeah.
But he follows that with the "Have you been waiting long for me?" Where he's asking death a question.
Yeah, I don't track with it being that death is a physical person, but that
not a physical person.
Yeah, well, it's like if you're talking about the idea of like him being fit, like there's a physicality to the entity that you're talking about.
Yeah,
like,
and it's just
that I won't lie, that's hard for me to track with. So yeah, because
I am the final dawn, I am the flood. So there we go with the flood, stemming the flood again, and then blood and things like that. And I am the final dawn. So no more sunrises. And what was missing from those scriptures will be written in my blood.
See, that what I would say is that I think that's a true blood. That's going to sound funny. A true bloodline. The flood that he's referring to after Final Dawn, I would more so see that he is saying that like after seeing everything that's been happening with flooding and with water and like the debris and things that are talked about in Eden, is that I very much look at this, that Vessel has taken the mentality of, nah, dude, I'm a fucking force of nature now. But it's like I earned my penance. I'm here. Like I am the final dawn. I am the final say of all this. I am the flood. And if any in a way, I think that this is actually true ascensionism, because if he's saying what was missing from those scriptures will be written in my blood, that's, to me, I look at that him just basically saying like, nah, dude, like I am the word of God.
But do you remember the sound effect that happens right there almost after it's like the gate shuts.
Yeah.
I
would argue that he's forever trapped in Arcadia. The irony of him.
See, I'm still going with the fact of what struck me was it's how he says, "Have you been waiting long for me?" differently throughout. How it's almost like a question in different ways, because if you sit there and think, turns out the gods weren't dying, they were sharpening their blades, and then you ask, "Have you been waiting long for me?" Well, what are they sharpening their blades for? And what are you asking, "Have you been waiting long for me?"
No, I look at it that it's him just acknowledging, it's kind of like if I were to look at the gods line, is that to me, I kind of almost relate it to like the cabin in the woods of like after the fact of like, I don't think Kurt even has a cousin.
Right.
It's like, it's kind of that moment of them just being like, it's like, no, it's like, we defeated them. It's like, it's why we're here. It's like, no, the gods were doing nothing but sharpening their blades, and thank God we're here. It's like, again, like I have like a more of a positive view. Now that positive view is not going to stay, because this is where when you look at this, it's like, regardless, the gods, like, actually, let me do this before I go down that, is that how do you, like, what makes you associate that gods are death?
Well, it started with that line. And then when I went back and listened to the offering, I was like, oh, fuck.
That's what was, so you got the death idea from the offering?
No. Or, from even in Arcadia, but just in the fact of going back and hearing things of like, through where he talks about the gods, I started thinking about perspectives of things like that now in other songs.
Yeah.
And even almost kind of realized, in my opinion, on some of these other ones like Dangerous, that some of these, quote, sexier songs aren't necessarily about her always. And now they can have that in there, but I was like, oh, maybe there is some double meaning here, or it is still both.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, again, this is the one that hit me really weird the first time when we listened, and I couldn't figure it out. And I'm like, why am I fucking crying?
I mean, it's honestly like, again, like I keep it in context, is that when he's like referring to the gods, is that I just refer it to just that it's gods. It's the the idea of like how we've looked at even with Eden and with everything that's happened is that when he says that not in Eden but when he makes the claim and when he tells her, he says that you are one among many but you are now on your own. It's that I just see that nothing more as the fact that, especially when she goes back to the gods and she's like, no, my fucking form is nothing but a wreck beneath me. It's like this, like that, toughness of realizing that's like, wow, she's even been through some shit too. But it's the fact of that, no, she is one of them. Is that it's this species of this. It's almost kind of like knowing that Jedi and X-Wing fighters, exist in the same universe. That's kind of like just how I view it, is that it's like that sleep is definitely her own thing, but there are gods. And guess what? They don't take too kindly that she's been like off doing her own thing and doing nothing but manipulating. It's like that's like how I would view that. But in the same hand, though, is that it's like regardless is that no, there are entities that Vessel thought that he was far away from, but it's the fact it's like, nah, man, they're ready to fight just as much as you are, and they know you're tired. So it's regardless of who, like how you want to, like they could be death, but regardless of what they are, they're ready to fight you. Or in fact, actually, I wouldn't even think that they're ready to fight you. They are ready to kill you. It's there's not going to be a battle. They are going to murder you, like that type of thing.
And again, so going back to like where I've still got some of where my idea was even in this last part with again, have you been waiting long for me? He's how it says different, but then it's no matter how we feel, we've got a taste for one another and a few good years to kill. And no matter what is real, it seems that even in Arcadia, you walk beside me still. So again, with the whole, we've got a taste for one another. I feel like that's again, that he knows about death and death knows all about him. Mm-hmm. We've got a few good years to kill for me to go back and forth.
Yeah.
For me to, I don't want to. And then the fact of it, even when I'm happy, I'm the same way, man. I have my happy moments, but dude, there's still dumb, dark shit that goes back in here.
Of course.
That comes to light. And that even with being rich and famous,
he should be the happiest fuck on the planet.
The happiest thing on the planet. And the reason why, again, I still talk about and it's how he is. Have you been? How it's from the whole because he's like, have you?
Yeah. Well, this is this album's blood sport. This of emotion of what now you could argue that Infinite Baths has the goblin scream, which is more intense than Bloodsport, but
it's just that with the fact of how he yells that last one, it's that like, oh, have you, motherfucker? Have you been waiting?
But I would argue, have you been waiting long intensity from me?
I know,
so it's
because
it's
that's what I'm saying. Where it's almost, there was one part, I forget which one, where he has it where it almost gives itself for like, oh, for little old me.
Yeah.
Like again, you have this like blurred process of in your mind of like what is real and what is fantasy and what is your mind playing tricks on you and what is do you let yourself win?
I think that
this is almost like, because either way you win, but if you let yourself win, you're done forever. And that's why, like I said, it has to me, it has everything to do with how he says those specific words differently throughout, because it's like you're going through that ride of emotion of him almost kind of being like afraid to do it, but then it's attractive. And then it's the fact of, he knows that even when he's happy, he still can't escape it. You are fucking right there all the time, man. It's one of those, all I have to do is slip to the left once and it's over. Because it's like he has to keep his head on this swivel all the time, even in Arcadia. Because if he lets it go one time, there's the razor blade, there's the pills, there's the this, there's the speeding on the highway, whatever it is. whatever it is so again, that's what it was like. The whole song for me was like, nah, dog, the gods are death. This is the Grim Reaper that he's talking about.
Well, I think that the main thing to remember is that Provider is next. Now, guys,
I was going to say, do you want to?
I think that what we're going to do is I think we'll finish our thoughts with Even in Arcadia. This is going to be part one of this album, because I know for my gas and my ability that, dude, talking through Gethsemane is going to be rough.
Oh, it's going to be terrible.
And I think that
I'm surprised I just made it through Arcadia right now.
So it's one of those that we're going to do something unconventional. We talked about maybe doing this depending on where
we were
going to
have to, man.
Just Arcadia. I'm happy to say this, but Arcadia has too much to talk about.
Yeah.
And it's one of those where I'd rather take another 90 minutes to discuss the last 3 or 4
and we
songs.
skipped a song basically.
Right. So, but more so why I wouldn't track with the death thing is
so
that,
yeah, where do you then I guess put this? Because I was super long-winded with that.
Well, no, it's I basically put this in the idea of that like what I'm lost in is the album art. What I'm lost in is the lore. What I'm lost in is his economy of words, like all these different things, where it's like, man, like I can't look at the rest of the albums, because, by the way, like you're not the only one that has the death thing. I've seen that in comments a lot. We're like, no, dude, sleep is death, or like that. This is this, like, so, but there's many different interpretations of these songs. But I essentially just look at this as that dude, he's in Arcadia. That's like he is in the afterlife. He's in this place, and he's it's almost kind of like waking up on the shoreline. He's in the afterlife. It's like itself, but it's the idea of like, nah, man, a couple clicks this way is Arcadia. You need to go that way. Like that type of thing. Like, so he's finally made it. But this is also the question, is that if I'm not going to say death is a part of this, then who is Vessel talking to? And that's where I ironically don't have a lot of places to land, because I'm unsure. I think that there's credence to many, if not all, of the theories of things. So if we look at this as death, right, is that, okay, the ailments and the problems and things that that plagued me are still here. So it's the idea of that, okay, like I have to worry about this. I need to keep my head on a swivel. I need to be sure that I'm good. If this is sleep, I think that is devastating and worse than death. In my opinion, the reason why is because it's like, dude, imagine the worst narcissistic ex that you ever had, and even in death, they're doing the same shit to you over and over again, and now you can't fucking escape. Like, there's a part of me that's almost kind of like, nah, slit my throat, I'm good. Yeah. You know what I mean? It all comes down to that line, is that he is talking to someone, he's communicating to something. There is something with, like you were talking about, the ferocity of his emotionality, and not only asking the question of have you been waiting long for me, but it's that acknowledgement of that, no, like you walk beside me still. Sleep, it's like you know what, fine, this is just how it's gonna fucking be, so let me be your provider. So it's that whole thing. It's like, fine, you want to be here? Let's fuck. Let's make this happen. Or if it's Eden,
okay.
But because again, if we're thinking about how the universe and the songs and stuff are like, again, not maybe how they necessarily connect, because again, maybe it's not chronological, but we still have the mentality of that. It's like, no, like if regardless, provider is pure sex.
Oh,
it is
for
nothing,
sure,
nothing but sex. But the thing is that, okay, so death, sleep, but what if it's Eden?
See, that's what I was saying.
What if it's positive?
But see, here's the thing, is that him getting so aggressive and certain things, how is it that even in Arcadia, you walk beside me still? Like, I feel like the fact of asking the question of even in my peace, you walk beside me still. So I get that he knows that she's a narcissist and all these things, but wouldn't his Arcadia already technically have her with it?
I would actually say that I think that it's complicated because he killed her in Nazareth. or sorry, killed Eden and Nazareth. Is that because this is the interesting thing is that there's a contradiction that happens even in Arcadia is that he's saying, have you been waiting long for me? Which means that you've been far away from this person. But he says, even in Arcadia, you walk beside me still. So is still the idea of continuous everything, or is it the idea of that, well, I'm just going to embellish, but it's the idea of that I killed you for someone that did not deserve my love. And I am so sorry. And thank God you are still by my side, even after everything.
See,
it's just, I mean, again, I think any of those can fit, but I tend to more so look at it from Eden because I guess you could say like from my projecting of my life, where it's an idea of that. It's like, no, dude, like, thank God I have the help that I do. Thank God I have the love that I do. Thank God I have the support that I do. It's very much, I think that our lives paints our perspective of how we take in art, so it's like,
oh, of course,
but I think that there's something really wonderful about that, but it's also, I think that no matter how you view the song, even in Arcadia, it still adds a weight of terror to Infinite Baths because either you have to start this cycle all over again and keep refinding her, or you have to start this cycle over and over again and still have this bullshit every time. It's like, it's almost kind of like you can't have your cake and eat it too, bro. Sorry. It's like that. It's like,
but it's your cake. I never understood that.
I know it's dumb.
But see, you actually said something interesting. So final thought for me on this, it's like, again, maybe that this even makes it more for me on my perspective, is that you just said it kind of contradicts itself, where it's the fact of you walk beside me still, but have you been waiting long?
Mm-hmm.
Right. I don't think that is a contradiction, because I think if you do take it in my standpoint of death and like a Grim Reaper side of thing, is it's the fact of, have you been waiting long? Because I'm not yet, and I haven't given in.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the fact of, even in Arcadia, you walk beside me. So like I said, you're always kind of lurking though there.
Yeah.
It's not an actual real presence next to you like a physical person.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where like I almost like immediately to myself figured that out, where, because you're right, where it's like, well, how are you doing both? Well, because death can do that.
Yeah.
Death is waiting. He's waiting for, he knows exactly what time I die.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that I have suicidal thoughts. Shocker. I have suicidal thoughts, and it's the fact of, that's what that is. That's death talking to me, in a sense. That's the devil. That's the Grim Reaper. That's all the things, the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
So again, he does walk with me. I think that's why I said I resonated with this a little bit, where it's that even in my happy moments and all of these things, and my children and a YouTube channel and blah, 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 right? Nah, dog, that don't matter. That doesn't matter. I still have weak moments, dude. I have weak moments. I have weak thoughts. And that's where that I feel like comes into play, where it walks beside me still, myself.
Mm-hmm.
I get what his Arcadia is. Mine is just different than his.
Mm-hmm.
Death is still motherfucker, how long you been waiting on me? Because it's like, again, you go through these cycles. It's like, hey, how long you been here?
Mm-hmm. It's like that fine line of when you're drunk, where it's like, hey, what?
And like, well, wait, why are you here?
Mm-hmm.
You've been waiting. You've been waiting on me?
Mm-hmm.
You've been waiting on me. That's what I'm saying. Like it's this whole thing. So that's what I said. This one was just, it was such a sock in the gut. And that's why I said, I take it that way, because again, the contradiction isn't a contradiction in my opinion.
I think that the alleviation of contradiction can happen with death or Eden. Those are the two that would make them not contradict. The sleep is a little harder, which again, I'm happy about, because it's one of those. I'm sorry, I'd rather him deal with death or have Eden rather than ever have to deal with sleep ever again. But as we know, it's not that simple. You know, it's that this is a moment on this album. You know,
exactly.
And I think that that's where very much like especially with this song, I've heard that I think that if you stop listening up to Caramel or even in Arcadia, that the cycle can end.
I was just about to say this is almost lends itself to be like, do you give in? Mm-hmm. Because if you do, it'll be over.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
You won't have to deal anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You'll leave this Arcadia, but you'll go into another one.
Yeah. Arcadia-ception. Yeah.
So I was literally just about to say that fact of like, if you end, which he clearly doesn't, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we still cycle through, but you're right where it's like, well, then what happens?
Yeah.
The cycle would end if you give in. So like, that's what I'm saying. I take this in that way, and it is not, like I said, I don't try to be so negative and all of this stuff for this album or Sleep Token, but I think Sleep Token in general, but this album in general, like I said 3,000 times already, but it's that like Romeo and Juliet thing where it's like this lust, love, death, lust, love, death, constant cycle thing.
Yeah.
That it's so hard because I think both those two things, like a lust, love, and then death, are so it's like the two things you want and don't want. I feel like I hate life, but I hate death. I don't want either, and I don't want love, but I want love. Like it's this weird thing.
Yeah.
Where it is a cycle.
Well, again, it's what's the one thing that he said in the Fall For Me video where he says, I want to live.
Right.
You know, but again, I would argue that I think that that's a moment in the journey for me.
It is.
You know, it's like, it's the fact that it's like, again, like the best way I think I can describe this is that the way that you and I interpret even Arcadia, so bear with me, but how they always talk about like end times, right? Where it's like, do you believe in a pre-tribulation rapture, a mid-tribulation rapture, or a post-tribulation rapture? It's the idea of that people that believe, that the rapture will happen on the earth to kick off end times, that is done before God's wrath is poured upon the planet, right? Mm-hmm. Then there are some people that believe, well, no, you'll get raptured halfway through all the tribulations and stuff of that. It shapes your entire way you view end times. So
sure,
I view this album as that he's in the afterlife. Death has already happened. Death is death who? Like it's like we're like that's that.
So
that's,
the album and like the whole album. You're saying?
I'm saying the whole album for me is very much just the idea that no, he's just in the afterlife. That it's one of those where it's like, well, yeah, but about death, right? He died. But moving on. It's like he's in the afterlife now. So that's very much how.
So is that why you're not taking any of this? I guess lyrically in the fact of how I am.
Yeah, it's because the thing is that I think that you're viewing it very much as like an epic of that. I would say both of them are like an epic like mentality, but it's the idea of that I would say that you're viewing it very much as like fantasy and the idea of that it's almost like, the gods that are around you, the things that influence you, like, that kind of like, deliberate, specific association of like, this is death, following him or this and this. Whereas more, I'm kind of like, no, like, I think that in the universe, I believe with it is that, yeah, death is a real deal. I think he's encountered death many times on his journey, but I think death won.
Where?
It's at the end of actually it would be at the end of Tomb. I think he died in Tomb.
Really?
Yeah, because Eden is when I almost kind of look at Eden in a way almost like him having that, like, I guess you would say that DMT trip or whatever, where it's like, no, dude, it's like the regrets, your life is flashing before your eyes, everything you remember about how, all right, this is the cycle, this is what I'm in, we're summoning, she's coming back, it's this, that, but then it's also the flashback of him remembering, like his mom asking, are you really okay? Like, are you all right? And then all he can think is on the cusp of him reaching his eternal destination is take me back to Eden. Just like get me out of this, get me away from this.
So what do you have a, I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah,
do you have a specific song that you're like, he's dead?
I think that it would. I think the line could.
Bro,
be
we need
blurred.
like, damn, dude, because we need to like talk about this.
Yeah, that's. I very much. I think that it's, if we're looking at it, is that he had to have died some point between the ending of Tomb and the ending of Eden. Is that there had to be the
It's
death.
pretty broad, but okay, that's what I'm saying. Did you
but-
have like a specific
what's
like
here?
song?
No, I wouldn't say I would have necessarily a specific song. I think it's just the idea of like going from like the tones of the album.
So then why?
You know.
So then up until till that, what then? I guess I know you were saying, like, are you really okay and stuff like that, but like.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't necessarily have a specific song or two songs or something, then I guess where did you come to that? I guess like thought process of him being.
I look at it that it's like it helped me make sense of even in Arcadia, because it's the idea that
like the song or the album?
The album. The album as a concept is that I very much view that as just that it's the afterlife. Now, again, it's like, do I think that maybe the flashbacks and things that he was having, like that I was saying he's having of like his last moments and stuff, is that concrete? No, that's just something I think is kind of fun to think.
No, as I'm saying, like I'm okay.
But in the same hand, is that regardless, is that if we're going with the lens of how I view even Arcadia, is that it's like, no, I think that it's just that he's in the afterlife. He died. He woke up on the shoreline. He was spit out of like, whatever he was in. And it's like, all right, you're in this dimension now, deal with it. And it's like everything looks the same. Why is this here? Why like that's almost like how like people view not people, but like how Constantine was done was like hell just looks like Earth.
Yeah,
it's like that type of thing.
And,
so,
and
yeah.
I can see that too with like the whole waking up on the shoreline. Everything looks the same. Where like that to me was almost that like blurred line of like, well, no matter what I do.
Mm-hmm.
This is just everything looks the same. Like I fought, I came out the other side. What the fuck, man?
I almost there's a part of me that that makes me think of it that it's like, let's say that the shoreline and everything still looks like everything that's around him, but when he gets to Arcadia, I think that's when you have the cherry blossoms. And then you have the baths, you have different things. But
this is wild. This is how you're going to end a motherfucking podcast for me talking about he already been to. Why did you never? Yeah, how the fuck are we brothers? Why did you never tell me this?
It's only, I guess it just might be because you guys just got to find out next week when we do the next one. So no, guys, we could seriously talk.
Yeah, we got to cut it off.
We would go later on. It's getting late here, but it's one of those where no, like we have a lot still to uncover, and I think that there's probably much more lore that we can probably discuss and peel back some layers and some onions and stuff on to be able to get some ideas, different things. I mean, I personally don't see us having in-depth big conversations on Sleep Token until another album comes out after we finish after this and the following episode and different things. But who knows, maybe something in the comments will pop up about this or different things. I want to know how you guys interpret the story, like whether it's death, whether it's the afterlife, whether it's something completely different. This is the fun part of enjoying this band, is that there is so many different things to interpret it as.
It is.
And it's just cool, man.
This is a good idea to see if people are paying attention. You know what? Yeah. I want you to tell us, not that you're taking sides, but for Dangerous and even in Arcadia, in the comments, what you think about those two specific songs. How about that? Get people rolling in the comments here. And if you're still here at the end, that you would know to do that. So this was a lot of fun, man.
Oh, man, it's exhilarating to go through this. We've talked about doing it for so long, and I
was very unprepared. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
I meant to go through the album yesterday, and I didn't. And I'm not gonna lie. I felt like I kind of got caught with my pants down a little bit. Like I didn't know any of my homework. But
I think that you still have gotten great seat time with the album, though.
Well, I have. It was just that we were really prepared for the last ones that we did.
Making this podcast happen it's been so much effort. Not even just like as far as like having the conversation, but just getting to fucking do it.
And even at that, we kept running. My daughter was sick this week. Yeah. We've had stuff. You've been sick. I've had concerts. I've had stuff. It has been. He's right, guys. Trying to get this done has been grueling, not like in a bad way, just getting it to be done.
Yeah, I know for a fact I'm going to feel a lot of relief to upload this and put this out there, because I think I'm actually just going to call this one the Even in Arcadia podcast, part 1. So
part 1.
We'll see what happens. But guys, I think we've said everything we need to say during this episode. So we're going to go ahead and end this here. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for your love. Thank you so much for loving what we do and just being a fellow, just just geek about music and everything.
Yeah.
I think that's something that, you know, we've really missed out on like a lot of parts of our lives where it's like, man, like we didn't have a lot of people around us that really dug this kind of thing or whatever, where we could have conversations like this.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's cool that we get to have that with you guys. So, but till next week, we love you. We'll do this again. Part 2 is coming. Adios.